How's it going, YouTube? This is Van Damage with an update to my Pelican 1200 Boombox. I added a couple of things to it. If you saw my previous video, you can see that I have already added the grills to it to help protect the speakers. These are just computer fan grills, and I had to modify them a little bit. Just bend down the pegs on the end of it. That way it'll cover up the whole speaker. But show you what I've done to it other than that. It's still pretty much the same design. I've added one component inside it. I did figure out how long the battery lasts. Before I modified it, it lasts about 44 hours. I did not expect to get that kind of battery life out of it, so I'm very happy with it. It took me probably about 2 weeks to figure out how long the battery would last, and I'm pretty happy with it. But I've added something to this that'll probably at least cut the battery life down by another 4 or 5 hours. So let's open it up, see what I got going on. So as you can see, there's something new in here. I added a Bluetooth board to it. So now instead of having to connect, hardwire into it through the auxiliary cable over here, I can wirelessly connect to it. I tested it out already. It works pretty nicely. I do have a little bit of feedback from it, but that was with the Bluetooth. Instead of having your amplifier turned up to whatever desired volume you need, I actually had to turn it down about a quarter of the way, so it's only about halfway up now. So if I connect with the auxiliary cable, I'm going to have to actually come in here, and this is the volume. I'll have to turn it up a little bit before I can play anything. But with the Bluetooth, you'll get a buzzing sound out of the speakers, so I had to crank that back a bit just in case. I mean, you don't really notice a difference whenever you're playing through the auxiliary cable unless you're really trying to crank it up pretty loud. Originally, I was actually going to add another wire here. This is actually the receiver for it, so that's basically the antenna. Originally, I was going to add a wire to that, about 6-8 inches, bring it up and around the outside of the box here. That way I could have a little bit more range on it, but I can get about 40-50 feet from it. I had the box playing on one side of my apartment, and I walked to the other, and didn't lose signal one bit. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm about done upgrading this box. The only thing I'm going to add is I do have a orange push button coming in. It's actually the original one that I was going to use for this build. And so I'm going to put that in a little bit later once it finally does get in. I'm going to rewire, all the positives and negatives in here, clean it up a little bit more. There's some wire that's just kind of hanging out. Like you can see here, it's a little bit of a mess, so I'm going to shorten these up. I'm still going to use the same common ground over here, but it'll be a little cleaner looking. I'm going to actually, the switch that I have on here right now, let me close this up. See my computer monitor. But yeah, the toggle switch I have on it right now, it still serves the same function, but the only problem is whenever I turn it on, you can, it turns on both the amplifier and the Bluetooth, which, it's pretty nice. I have it, ready to go, but I'd rather not have my Bluetooth running all the time, just in case it were to shorten the lifespan on the board. I don't want to have to replace it. So I'm going to actually move this switch from here. I'm probably going to move it down here between these speakers. That way I can control the Bluetooth here, and I'm going to put the orange push button up here. That way I can, on, off, it'll light up. You'll have a pretty cool sweet orange 12.4 or whatever the battery is reading at. Orange button here, and then I'll have the Bluetooth toggle. Flip it up, connect through your Bluetooth, or if you don't want it on, turn it off. It'll preserve my battery a little bit more, but like I said, I got 44 hours out of one charge on it, so really not too concerned about battery life with this. I went really way overboard with my battery on here. Not going to complain. But, so yeah, that's what I've done to it. I'm pretty much done upgrading it. Like I said, all I'm going to do is upgrade the toggle switch and the push button switch. And then this will be done. For my future builds, however, after doing this one, figured out a couple of things wouldn't say that I'm not happy about, but things I could do better on this build. Instead of having the speakers on the bottom, I'm going to move them up here. And basically what this is going to do is my battery's sitting up here. That's the heaviest part of this entire build. So, if there was a wind or something, it's a little hard to push it over. But I don't like the fact that, I have more weight up here than I do at the bottom. I'd rather have a heavier base than a heavier top. That way it's not going to topple over. I'm not worried about breaking anything, but it's just a little design flaw that I figured out. So in my next one that I'm going to do, I've already got most of the parts for it. I'm going to put the speakers up here. Everything else is just going to kind of shift down a little bit, make room for the speakers. So that's a little change I'm going to do to it. But other than that, overall, it's going to look pretty much exactly the same as it does right now. But, I'm happy with this build. It was a very fun, easy project to do. I've got a couple more that I'm building. I did one with 5x7 speakers on it, so it's a little bit bigger. It's got a lot more sound to it, but I used, instead of a Pelican case, I used an aluminum, like an electrician's toolbox. It had, pockets for, tools, screwdrivers, pliers, stuff like that, and then little compartments for your fuses and whatnot. But I used an aluminum case. I'll do a video on that here in a minute. Let you take a look at that. Added something else to it that I don't have on this one. But I'll do that video, show it to you, let you take a look at it, see what you think. But yeah, this is pretty much completed. So if you guys have any questions, comments, please leave them below. I always love getting feedback from everybody. Tips on how to do something a little bit different, make it a little easier on myself. I'm still kind of new at this, well, really new at this. I've only built 2 of these boxes, and I'm working on my 3rd, which I've tested it out. I'm going to do a video on it here in a minute. That way you can see the progress on the big-ass box. And still haven't come up with a exact name that I'm going to call it, but I'm pretty happy with the results so far. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.